Alright, so now we want to find the clashes themselves. So I'll click on the Clash Detective option to open up the menu and then minimize this, and then we can add test. For example, for the same sanitary that we created here, we can hit Ctrl C to copy the name of the set, then go over here and hit Ctrl V to paste the name. Or you know what, before we do that, let's put the structural columns first. So copy it and paste it here. Then put an and between names, and there we go. Alright, so then I'll open up the sets once again. And this time I'll copy the structural framing. And then in this window, I'll add it using the add test. Then go to the set above and select the and sanitary and copy it and paste it down here as well. Alright, then I'll add a third test and another one as well. Let's just delete this extra one. We just need 4 for now. And then I'll paste the sanitary in both of these new ones. This time I'll open up the sets and copy the name of the structural foundations. Alright, then Ctrl V to paste it over here in the set. And I don't think we need the last one, so let's just get rid of it. Alright, so now we have the structural columns with the sanitary, then the framings, and then the foundations as well. So first I'll select the structural columns and the sanitary, and then down here in the selection A, I'll put this on set. Doing this makes our work much easier. So I'll do the same in the section B and then select the structural columns and the sanitary. Then we have the category of clashes we want to see. I'll select the geometry, and then we have the lines, which we'll leave for now. Do the same for point as well. Then we have the self-intersect category, which we'll leave as well. Then we have this item, which shows us the item that has been selected in the plan in this menu as well. But for now, I'll put the selection A under sets because it's much easier to operate here. Then we have the type, which I'll put on hard, and then we have the tolerance, which helps us specify the type of the clash, and right now it's on 1/100th of a meter. Now if the clash is 5 millimeters or 6, it will be fine, but if it reaches 1 centimeter, it will be specified. Now you can increase and decrease the tolerance using this option. Alright, and then we have the composite object clashing box. Now a lot of the objects that we dissect and work with here can be composite. We see this a lot in the structural sections. For example, you could see a column and beam double, or we may have created a nested family in the joist sections. When we uncheck this box and then a pipe goes through that structure, we'll have a clash for each one of the items separately. But if we check the box, we'll have the clash as a one whole composite. This makes it easier to manage. So I'll hit the run test, and we have 127 clashes, which I think may have a mistake in it. Alright, so it seems that we're checking the sanitary with itself. So I'll select the structural columns instead and then hit run. Alright, and as you can see, 4 is much more reasonable. And this is extremely valuable to us. Alright, so now let's take a look at this clash here. So we have a window over here for the clash. For example, we can select if we want to hide or dim the other elements. For now, I'll put this on dim and check the animate transition box. And alright, then let's zoom out of this. Alright, select the clash one once again and then zoom in. And then we can also change the view using this icon. This can also zoom in on the clash as well, but for now we're seeing all of the detailings in the plan as well. And if we select the focus on clash option here, it makes our job easier. All right. So then I'll right click on the clash and hit Save Viewpoint. This saves us a picture of the viewpoint here. Then in the status section, we can select what type of the clash it is. For now, I'll put it on active, and then let's do the same for all the other clashes as well. Put them under the active status. All right, I'll increase the size of the window here. All right, then I'll right click here in this space and select the Choose Columns option. Through this menu, we can add additional information to the list as well. For now, I'll select the Clash Point option and add it, and then hit OK. Alright, and if we scroll through the menu here, we can see the hard listed as a description of the clashes. And then we can decide who we want to assign this clash to. Now this helps us manage the project better, although we only have 4 clashes here, but if we had more, we could create groups for them. For example, I can select these 4 clashes and create a new group from here. Excuse me. I'll select the 4 clashes and hit this one. This way it'll create a group and put the clashes inside of it. But if we select the new group option, a new group will be created and we can name it, for example, ST and Sanitary. And then we'll have to select the items manually and place them inside of the groups using the, for example, click and drag maneuver. Now for each of these clashes, we can create a picture from the Save Viewpoint option. And let's do the same for this one as well. And now we have all of them as active and in this structural level. And then we have the aux address, which helps us to identify them. And then we have the approved rows, whether they're approved or not. And then let's go over here to the right. And then we have the description and the assigned to. For example, I'll say all of these clashes need to be assessed by our mechanics engineer. So I'll open up the assign clash menu, and under the assign to, I'll name one of our engineers, for example, Mr. Maksud Lu. And then we can leave a note or comment here. For example, I'll write in, please correct the determined clashes after assessing them. All right, let's see. And then I'll write in case of need, please contact the mechanics designer. There we go. And all right. And this is because in some cases, when we want to change the model and the pathways of it, we need the designer's own comments and opinion on it, because our solution may not be optimal. So now, as you can see, all of these clashes have been assigned to our friend Mr. Marsouglou, and then they'll be listed later on in the project reports. Then we have the distance, for example, 12 millimeters, then 12 again, 6, 3, and 3, which is because of the level of tolerance that we already set. For example, the last 3 meters that we have here is not an actual problem. These systems can be installed with a little bit of force. Usually for cases like these up to 3 millimeters, we can open up the status and put it on reviews. Alright, and that's how we can manage and control the